Hi, this is Namrata and I make videos every weekend. So today's topic is debugging in Eclipse for Java. So I have a program, a very basic one that I am going to put some values in my class and I'm going to debug and show that how these values look like and how is its effect and how do you browse through your debug mode. First of all, let's see what is debug perspective in Eclipse. So I will go to Windows, and in the Windows I will open the debug perspective. The debug perspective you can go from this icon also, and here I am in my debug perspective mode. So when we do debug, so the class which is where the source code originally relies may be present in some other package or in some other class. So for that we need to configure the debug configurations, and in that configurations you can put in your source code. So whichever library or project you are in, you can put in over there, put it over here, and your source code will be available for the debugging. Okay, so here I started the debug and everything was exited, right? So here for our debug mode to start showing its effect, we need to put some breakpoints. So breakpoints is where the debugger knows that where to stop. Okay, so here I have a public static void main, so my program will not stop if I am not putting in the debugger. Okay, so here I have to tell my debugger that here is the point that you need to stop, and those breakpoints you can see it over here in this area, or you can see it in the windows also. So if you click right click it, if you click on go to file, you can go to that file also. Okay, so let's suppose I am in my product class and I am putting a breakpoint over here, and I have gone to some other file like in debug demo application, and I want to go to this line. So I just have to do that go to file. So this will go to the debug breakpoint over here. So now let's start our program and see whether our debugger stops at this breakpoint or not. Yes, it has stopped at line 7. So in the debug mode also you can see debug demo application dot main. It's a method name and it says a line number. Okay. So if you double click it, you will go to your debug stop point, breakpoint. So here is your debugger stopped, and let's see what are the options over here in the debug menu. So here it says the resume, and here it says the terminate. This is for step into, this is for step over, and this is for step return. So we'll see all these options one after the other. So I am putting one more breakpoint over here, and let's see if I click on resume, what happens. So it goes to another breakpoint, and the line in between is skipped. Okay, so what if you want to do the next step also, that you want to stop your debugger on the next step also. So for that you need step over. So if you click on step over, it will go to the next step. So here you can see you have kept the breakpoint earlier. So as it was executing, so the debugger has stopped at this breakpoint also. So this was a step over that you can go ahead for the next step, and let's see what is step into. So if I do the step into, you go into the method. So you can see here is my send method of product class. Okay, so when I do a step over here, so it is going to skip all the things that it is not executing. So it is only going to it is only going to point to those lines which are getting executed. So this is how you go to the next step. Now let's go inside again and see what happens over here. So here is something called as step return. Okay, so what does step return does is step over does the next thing, and step return does coming out of that method. So this is how you come out of that method. Yeah, these were the debug points. Now here you can see the terminate. If you click on terminate, the program stops. So these were the debug options available in the debug menu. So let's start our debug again. So now we have pretty much idea about the debug menu. So we can scroll through the debug menu, and we can go ahead with the next step about seeing the values over here. Here here the debugger is stopped, means it is the next line to be executed is this line. And when I say step over, this means this line, the line number 7 is executed, and we expect that p1 variable is already created. And let's see how we can see the values of p1. So here if I hover over the variable, we can see there is a small window opened. So here in the window you can see the values of the parameters of that class. So all the values that you have put in the constructor are present over here in this object. And let's see where else you can see all these values. So in the variables, you can see your p1 object created over here, and you can see the values also over here. So here you can change your values also. Okay, so if you see p1, if you hover over the p1, your value was changed. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Let's go to the next step and see. So here there are two objects created. So you can hover over anything, and your data can be shown in that debugger window. So going ahead, if I see there's a method which is by, and I'm inside of that method because my breakpoint was over here. Okay, so I'm going to do a step over here and see the values which are changing. Now if I put hover over this, I can see my values over here, and this signifies my object. Okay, so let's see what happens. So now in this you can see the modified objects. So whichever attributes you see in the red color, those are the attributes which have changed their values. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a next debugger. Here also you can see whose values are changed are highlighted over here. So now let's do one more thing and go to the breakpoint over here. So here you can see all the breakpoints are ticked out over here. So if I untick debugger, okay, so here if I go if my debugger is running, and this line is executed again, okay, so this line the debugger will not stop at this line. So let's check if this happens. So I will stop my debugger, and I will start it again. I will do the next, and in the P1 by method there was my breakpoint over here, and let's see if I do a step over and then a step over. So my breakpoint in by method is not executed. You can skip all breakpoints by clicking this and do a resume. So what will happen over here is that whichever are the next breakpoints, the debugger will not stop at those breakpoints. So let's see what happens if we start executing this concept. So here in our program we have a breakpoint at line 15, but as we have disabled all the breakpoints, so our debugger will not stop at this breakpoint. Okay, so let's do a resume. So here my main method terminated, but this program was but the debugger didn't stop at this line. So this is it for this video. Please put your requests in the comment section and like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Bye bye.